hope, passion, resilience, purpose, struggles, triumph, motives. Every person has a story, a reason for being who they are. If we take the time to listen, we can begin to understand their unique way of seeing the world. Welcome to the second chapter of the My Story podcast. I'm your host, Ari. Guys, welcome back to yet another episode of the My Story podcast. Before we start, you already know, like, subscribe, comment, share. If I don't say it, you won't do it. So now that that's out of the way, today I have a special guest. Yes, obviously we have another story, but today I have someone interesting. You may have seen him around the SEMO campus. You may have seen him in pictures and ads. He does a lot of things. But today, he's going to share his story. So without further ado, I have with me Kendal.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
My day or mentally?
In general.
In general, I'm hanging in there.
You're hanging there?
Life is always good.
Okay, yeah, that's one way of seeing it. Because if not, life can hit you hard.
Yeah, every day's a good day.
Every day's a good day. Yeah. So let's start with your story.
Okay.
If you're familiar with the content, you know I'd like to ask about last names. So what's your name? Do you have a story to your last name?
That's a name. That's a question I never really heard from people.
Really?
Like, no one's ever said, like, what's the story behind your last name? Because, it's like, the last name, duh. But I can actually say I do have a story behind it, though. It's on my dad's side. Dates way back to my grandma Tang. Rest in peace. I love her. I think it goes like, all the way down, I think, to like the 1910s, something like that.
Oh, wow.
As far as I remember, like the whole family tree on that side. And so Lewis just got passed on and on and on. My dad had me. So, now I got to continue the whole Lewis legacy and everything like that. So
the legacy. That's nice. Yeah. So a lot of people don't know their story, but I've always been interested in last names since I started this because I have a couple of international friends. And in my case, I'm from Puerto Rico, and we have two last names, and that's normal. But over here, it's just one, and they find it, like, odd. But I have a friend that she has 5 last names.
What?
And she explained why. And I'm like, okay, so she has the last name of her dad, her granddad, and back from that. It's how their culture works.
You can't write that down on the school sheet.
You can, but it's very long. But it's their culture, so that's why I find that interesting. So you get to know a lot about a person initially by their last name.
Does she play sports?
I think she's into swimming right now. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
They don't got to worry about stitching her name on the back of the jersey. Good Lord.
I think she'll just use one.
I hope so. She gonna pick her favorite one of the day, depending on the team.
Oh, yeah, but that's why I started with it. More from you. Mm-hmm. Now that we know your last name, your legacy, what do you study? What do you do?
So I study TV and film on campus. I make videos, make short films, things of that nature. I do videography as well. So I do recording, editing, directing, writing. I wear a lot of hats around the media field. I'm just dipping my toe in everything just to see what I really, really love because I'm still figuring it out as I go. It's only really my second year doing all this type of stuff. Okay. So you're sophomore? Just senior.
You're a senior?
I almost messed it up. Whoops. I'm a senior. Okay.
But how come it's only your second year doing this stuff?
Okay. So I transferred from a community college in Memphis, Southwest Tennessee. I transferred from there, went there for 2 years. Transferred to SEMO last year, and then that culminates to the 2 years that I've had of the major experience with all the mass media stuff, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully, I'm staying an extra semester next year, so now I'll be staying until fall 2025. Okay. So I have really another year here, thankfully, under my belt. I'll be able to have another year. So that's pretty much why I only have 2 years and everything, because the first 2 years, I was playing basketball back at community college.
Okay, so you're a basketball player.
Used to be, yeah.
Used to be. Yeah. So, okay, let's go a little bit back.
All right, let's do it. Come on.
How did you, have you ever loved sports, and how did you get into TV and film? Because those are kind of two different worlds.
Right. Okay, you're saying have I ever loved sports?
Yeah, like how did that start? How did you get into playing basketball?
Okay, at first it was soccer when I was a kid. I was a baby, it was soccer, and I don't know where I found the love for soccer at, but I just like was
Soccer is awesome.
It is dope. I'm not gonna lie, the energy is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I said that, I think last week I was like, I want to go to a soccer game. I just want to be in the crowd throwing the little flares around, yelling and stuff.
Yes,
like,
I'm a soccer fan because of my brother.
For real?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I get what you're saying. Yeah. So at first it was soccer, and then I think it was baseball next. I think my parents were just throwing me in each sport just to see what I liked. They tried karate too. I got kicked in the stomach one day.
Ooh.
Now you see why I don't do karate.
Did you learn something though?
I did. Now I do boxing. So now it's
Okay.
Yeah. At first I was a little wimp. Now it's like let's swing my arm aggressively at people. So
Okay.
But yeah, so basketball came around I think when I was 9, and then I was playing for a little church league. Went there after school every day after elementary school, and I was dabbling between basketball, football, and I think baseball.
Okay.
Then it came down to football and basketball, and I loved football. I was crazy about football. And then my mom one day watched like a news thing on how people get hurt with turf and all that stuff, or injuries happen on a football field. She's like, "You never doing this again." I was like, "Yes, I am." Didn't even try to like do it again, which I should have. But I was still playing basketball.
Okay.
So I kind of just started to put more into it, more training, more working out with it and everything. And then I realized, okay, I really like the sport. And I started taking it way more seriously. Was really good, I think, around middle school. And then high school is when I started to take off a little bit, but it was a little rocky then.
Yeah.
But then I kept on playing, kept at it. Eventually ended up getting a full ride to community college out of high school.
Wow.
And so that was cool. But community college was okay. Like I wasn't the greatest in JUCO. I could have been a lot better. Things happened and everything, but you know, I think time in life just showed, hey, you know, you got other things you're passionate at. You don't need basketball. And so the whole time I had been doing like editing and making videos on the side. I would even make my own basketball mixtapes, which I don't even know if that's like embarrassing to say or not. But like I would make my own mixtapes.
Like your plays and stuff?
Yeah. Highlight tapes, yeah.
Okay.
I'd make those and send them out to coaches and everything, try to get recruited and all that. And I just realized I had fun with it. I would even just make videos and mixes for my teammates and for other people.
Yeah.
And do pictures and all that stuff. So they kind of just like lined up. Like I just kept doing basketball and media, and it was just straight basketball media. And so I knew later on, like, okay, media is gonna be the plan B if basketball doesn't work out. And then when I came to SEMO, that's when I kind of got hit with like, oh, you really not hooping. So you need to.
How did that transition work though?
Oof,
like
gosh.
what happened for you to want to change? If you can talk about it.
I can.
Okay.
So I'll say this. I'll say last year I was coming into SEMO.
Okay.
Like I said, the whole transfer thing. And so I was transferring here, but I kept training for basketball, like, because I was telling myself, bro, I'm going to get an opportunity. Like, I'm going to play. Like, I'm going to get a spot. Because I legitimately thought I had that opportunity. And then I'd say I came down here thinking like it was sometime in July. I came down here and all that stuff. Things didn't go how I wanted them to go or how I hoped that they would go. And so initially I was like, okay, we're going to try again. Like, we're going to try again. Kind of went back and just thought about it, and I was like, nah, bro, like, you don't need basketball. Like, you have other gifts, and I realized that. And so that's when I had kind of had to heart-to-heart with myself. I was like, bro, just put the ball down. Like it's okay. Like, I promise, like, I can make other things shake. You know, I can make other things happen. And lo and behold, I look back and I'm like, shoot, like I just transitioned like that.
Yeah.
And so I just went straight
Hard
from basketball.
decision.
It was tough because it was just like, it was a lot. Like, you really don't know until you know, as far as you don't know how much like you could miss something or like wanted something until it's like gone. And so, yeah, so I'd say like for the first like 3 months at SEMO, I did not touch a basketball. Like, I put the basketball down for a long time.
Wow.
But I was fine, though. I just knew if I picked up a basketball, it wasn't going to feel right. And so I was just focused on the media thing, got involved with creating media, got my head in the door with everything around here. And then, I said like last like November, which is crazy, probably a year ago, I started like hooping again, and I was fine. Like, I didn't take it as personal, didn't feel like I needed to be the best at it and all that stuff, and I was having a good time with it. But by that point, I was already starting to grow with the media thing and all that. So thankfully, I had an opportunity everywhere else with the media stuff, and so that plan B turned into plan AA. Like it was like that was it. So
Yeah, so the same passion you had for the basketball court, you're like, I'm gonna put all my energy into media. What was the
Yeah.
first project you worked on that you were like, I'm hyper focused. This is what I want to do, and not even think about basketball? Because that's a pretty big change, especially for like an athlete. That's huge.
Right. Like, and I walk, because I walk around, like, I see the athletes all the time. I walk around, and it's like, at first, I never told anybody this. Ooh, forget it. I say it. I was jealous. There was one person at SEMO that I was very, like, I was like, ooh, I'm so sick. I had the spot. I could have had this opportunity, but it was like maybe for like 2 weeks, I was jealous of that person.
Oh, wow.
Because I was like, I just want basketball so bad. Then obviously everything cooled down. I was good. The first project, okay, it's two of them.
Okay.
So the first one, it was a very minute project, something so small. It was like this little clip, and it's on my media page at Crispy Lewis Media on Instagram. It's very small. It's like a 5-second clip of me like traveling at the airport, but it's like a little compilation with little clips.
Okay.
And I like learned how to make that and all that, and I put it out there, and it just like it was so different from anything I did. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. And then my first little mini movie / short, which is called Let's Pretend. It's like a 1.5-minute short.
Okay.
That's when I was like, ooh, we might be onto something here.
Okay.
Like, maybe. So.
Okay.
Those two.
So, what did you do? Well, you just said like in general, you didn't need basketball or anything, but you just mentioned you had a 2 week of struggle. How did you learn how to cope with it? Realizing, okay, I'm not essentially a athlete, not pursuing basketball, but I have another passion. And I ask because there are a lot of students, people who may be struggling from changing from a passion to a new passion, and letting go is hard. What can you say about that?
I think you got to have a healthy relationship with rejection and with letting go, because at the same time, rejection, and people always say it's a cliche saying, like rejection is like when one door closes, another door opens. It's kind of facts though. Like when one door closes, like there are other opportunities there. If you focus on, like if I focus on this door right here that you closed, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at this door and all that. This opportunity is in this room. You know, there may be another opportunity. Like, so there's always another lane or another avenue. I feel like humans as a whole, we shouldn't be closed-minded off to anything. I feel like we should always have an open mind, always be willing to learn and be willing to adapt. And I think that can help anybody in any field, no matter where you are. When I was at community college, that was probably the biggest eye-opener, because I felt so one-dimensionally like closed off, and it wasn't like I really was. I just felt that due to the environment I was in. Like I always felt like I feel like I could just get out and just see what I'm made of. Just get out of an apartment on Cleveland Street, and just like I'm surrounded by players who are really good, but it's like, do they have everything else going on? Like, is there other stuff that they have going on? I know I can do so much more than just hoop. And I kind of probably talked that into existence, because now it's like, okay, well, look where I'm doing. I'm not playing basketball, and all that stuff. And just having to realize, bro, like you put this into the work that you've been doing since you were a kid. Like all that stuff, like don't let that gift shy away. And who knows what I'd be doing if I was still playing basketball and I wasn't making the stuff that I was trying to make, or I wasn't putting myself out there and making those connections. You know, you just got to be open to change and open to adapting to new things.
Yeah, and like embrace the change, you're essentially saying.
Right.
So, in your perspective, I'm just interested in your answer for this question.
Go ahead.
Would you consider morphing your two passions, like basketball and film, like doing something related to sports, or what do you want to do if you want to essentially do that?
Okay, well, last year I was like really into creative media with the athletics department, and so I was kind of morphing it. I was doing all sports. I was like recording and editing with the creative media team. We were doing football, all the sports on campus. But I don't think that's the main thing I want to do. I think that's a great endeavor. I think that was a great thing that I did. But I think the main thing is just I want to I want to do more storytelling, and I want to be able to tell my story, but be able to tell other people's stories to the highest depth that I can, as far as whether that's like making documentaries, whether that's making short films, short video, putting something out there that can survive and that people can relate to and that people can interpret. I think the sports department and I think the sports media as a whole, I think it's a very competitive field for good reason, because people love it and people should love it. It's a great thing. It's awesome. I think that's one of the best things that sports has, is that ability to storytell through a lens and through a camera, through a computer, through a TV. But I do believe that where my passion really lies is just storytelling from a different perspective, like with the film and with video and with just, editing and all that stuff, but not through sports, if you get what I'm trying to say.
I get it. Yeah. It's been interesting to me because I've had people in the podcast who also been through sports and are very passionate about sports. And it's interesting to me how they speak of it and also seeing their work, like their pictures, their videos.
The work
it's
is
like
sick.
Yeah, like once like an athlete lives the sport, being able to capture it through writing or through pictures, they have a different angle, a different aspect. But they're also very adaptable to other things like that you just explained.
Yeah.
So what are some other hardships you have maybe faced that has helped you develop this positive mindset of just being disciplined and just going at it?
I say hardships, that's like a part of life. I'd say the hardships, I'm learning a lot this year. We could be completely vulnerable right now. I'm learning a lot of hardships this year. I feel like last year I was so spoiled here. Like I came here, it was like, everything's great, everything's amazing. I think this year is just like, okay, you really seeing what's really going on, how to really deal with tough things and all that stuff. I mean, it was my first year last year. I was excited. I was dabbling in everything. Now it's like, okay, this year, things are getting more real, and that's okay. That's what I love about it. It makes me want to go harder. So I think the hardships is just dabbling in a bunch of obligations. Dabbling a bunch of obligations. I'd also say how to go after what you want, but still having to, I say compromise.
Okay.
Yeah, communication and compromise, and while still trying to go for what you want. It's not easy at all. But at the same time, it can be. You just got to learn as you go. I feel like I'm just learning as I'm going with a lot of things, and just getting into that more to that adult phase of that aspect of my career, of life, and all that stuff. Hardships are gonna come. Tough times are gonna happen. That's just how things are. It really is about how you digest it and how you handle it, and the next steps you take. That immediate next step is necessary to the next 100 steps that can get you back into place where you want to be at. So I think the hardships are very, very important, very key. It's just about how we handle those.
Yeah, I think what you just said is very important because sometimes we want something now and we're like so hyper focused on we want it now. Like, no, you have time, even if we don't think we have, because we listen like, oh, life is short. Like, yeah, but there's also time. So I think what you just said was very powerful. Yeah. So more into that, is there like we're wrapping up the segment, but is there any other advice you would give people or students based on what you have lived, like everything we talked about or maybe not talked about, but your life?
Okay. Any advice I'd have to any students, don't be afraid to be yourself. It's very cliche. You know what? No. I got better advice than that. That's so cliche. Be yourself. Okay. Advice I have to students. Now they're going to think I don't got nothing.
Well, you just unconsciously mentioned some good advice, and especially regarding embracing your passion. We've talked about embracing your passion. You talked about being yourself essentially, and not being afraid of change.
You're a dope podcast host. You just put me right back in the saddle when I could not think. You know what? You're awesome. You deserve 100 more guests.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Yes, embracing that passion and everything. I would also say don't be afraid. This is big. This is a very central piece of where I'm at right now. Don't be afraid to put yourself and your work out there, and don't be afraid to get yourself where you need to be. Now, I'm not saying bombard everybody, bust down all these doors and be very inconsiderate, disrespectful with it. But like, hey, let people know, hey, this is who I am. This is what I have. This is what I do. When you step in a room, make sure you feel like, hey, I am the person that belongs in here. I have something to share. I have something that people need to hear from me, and I have gifts to give to people. Make sure when you step around and when you walk around, like, hey, remember who you are. Remember who I am. Remember who that person was that got this done, that did this. Hey, I was able to do this. I was able to go do that. My family loves me because of this. I like anything that can make you remember who you are. Don't forget that, especially if you have gifts and you have the passions, like you said, embrace that. Go delve fully deeper into that and remember, like, hey, there's a reason I'm in here. There's a reason I got invited to this. There's a reason I didn't get invited to this. But there's also a reason that I can do this. Like, this, it's so much that we had to remind ourselves, like, bro, we got it, man. Like, we have what it takes. We're here for a reason. And nobody ever should forget that. Even when it gets tough, like, how did you get to this point? You know why it's getting tough? Because you're getting better. You're getting to the point where you're about to have a little breakthrough. Just keep on pushing. I mean, I'm going through a tough time right now. I'm trying to keep it pushing. I'm trying to keep things situated and sorted, but you got to step out and remember, like, hey, it gets a lot better. And look at how far you've come and look at where you're headed. Like, okay, this tough time, I'm going to get through this. Like, I got to figure it out, but we're going to get through it. So, yeah.
I think that's perfect advice because sometimes you get very, again, hyper-focused on the negative and all the problems and situations, but just being like, you know what? I am good enough. Yeah. I will do this. And like you said, hardships will come, but how you get through them is what's important. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for being here.
Damn, we already done.
We already done. Dang. Time flew
I was having
by.
Fun. Can I say this is like, I'm very glad that like that's why I was asking you, like, is it cold in here and all that? Because I wear this cozy fit and all that. So I was like, I'm glad that we have a podcast like this where it's like student to student. I can just talk to you. I know you. Like, I had class with you and everything. Like, TV directing. And that was dope getting to know you in there.
Thanks.
And all that.
It was really funny when we did a couple of skits. It was hilarious.
Hey, we might as well talk about it.
Okay, so I know we're wrapping up, but going a little bit back. Cool. So when I met Kendal, we're in TV directing class. And we had to practice our episodes before our guests got there. So professor just goes, hey, we need a host and a guest. It could be anyone. And every other person that needs to be in the booth. Everyone who's in the studio, you need to be the guest and the host. And Kendal was mostly the host because, like, he does that naturally. And then it would be another student, Elena, who they were
Shout out Elena.
Yeah, shout out. She's amazing. They would just talk for the whole half hour, and it was just made up stories that they looked so believable. It was crazy.
Elena, we still got to get back together on the for the tour and everything. She know what we're talking about.
Yeah, they pretended to be on tour. It was crazy. It was hilarious, but yeah.
Yeah, that was good. That was dope getting to know you. Like I said, this is sick. I was talking to I can shout them out, Beto, Kyler, all them. I was talking to them, and I was like, this is dope. Like, she's been grinding. Like, because I found the Instagram like a while back, and so like I see like one post, and I see another post next day. I'm like, oh shoot, like okay, like you just pumping them out. Like, but that's good though. Like, keep putting your stuff out there, and to anybody who sees this, go look at her stuff. You may be on here one day, but you got to earn it. She's high. You know what I'm saying? She up there.
Thank you. And it's been amazing just not only talking to students and listening to their perspective, but also kind of professionals. Mm-hmm. We've had here a couple of professors, and listening to their stories and their perspective on life and things, especially for people who are upcoming to the professional world or in life in general. It's been a blessing. It's been interesting, and thank you for your words. I'm very grateful for them. Of course. And so now we do have to wrap up, sadly.
Let's wrap it. Hey, and on a high note, we good.
Yeah, we good. So anyways, guys, see you on the next one. Thanks for listening to this episode. Make sure to subscribe, and if you want more stories, listen to Chapter 1.